So today we of SaxonGlobal are going to show you how we are going to have an integration from Salesforce to Heroku. So at the end of the webinar, so the key takeaway from the webinar is you will be knowing how to integrate Salesforce with Heroku Apps and how to deploy your apps which was written in different languages like Java, Ruby Rails, Node.js, and how you are going to deploy the app written from these languages to Heroku, and how you are going to integrate Salesforce data with Postgres, which is I'm going to use as a database for Heroku, and how we are going to overcome the complexity of Salesforce using Heroku. So these are the key takeaway of your webinar. So pre-request, I hope that everyone has a knowledge of Salesforce Apex and API knowledge, and you are having an additional knowledge of the languages like Java, PHP, Node.js, Ruby, AngularJS, or any other language. In my case, I am going to use Java as my app. So for that reason, I have installed JDK, JRE, and Maven. So Maven, I use it for generating the pom.xml file, where I'm going to have the dependencies of my Java programming. And finally, we need to create an account with Heroku, and that account should have an add-on permission. So for having the add-on permission, what we are supposed to do, I'm going to explain to you in a few minutes. So before going to this webinar, everyone, what I request is you log into Heroku.com and create your own account. And then you download the Heroku toolbed for your operating system, whether it is Mac OS or Windows or any Ubuntu. So this is the initial requirement you are supposed to have from Heroku. So first of all, why we are here? What we are going to build? What we are going to build on Heroku? And what is the architectural overview of Heroku? And how the stack details in terms of technology of Heroku is there? And how we are going to have our organization and Heroku setup. And finally, I'm going to show a live demo using Heroku Connect as well as Java app using REST APIs. And finally, I have a Q&A session where I'm going to answer all your questions. So first of all, before going to why Heroku, so you all know that Heroku is on cloud computing. So what is cloud computing, first of all? Typically, a cloud computing can be defined as a type of computing that where we are going to share our compute resources rather than having your local servers or databases or the personal devices to handle all your applications. So in a simple term, for a layman, I would like to say cloud computing is nothing but an internet. So that cloud computing means an internet-based computing, where different services such as your servers or storage devices or the databases and applications are delivered to an organization computers and devices through the internet. So Heroku is launched on cloud computing. Apart from that, we will call Heroku as PaaS. So what is PaaS? We all know Salesforce is also a PaaS. So what is a PaaS? PaaS is nothing but we abbreviate PaaS as Platform as a Service. So PaaS is a cloud computing model also that delivers the application over the internet, which we spoke previously. So in a PaaS model, a cloud provider delivers hardware and software tools, usually those needed for application development to users as a service. So PaaS only provider only hosts the hardware and software and its own infrastructure. So as a result of this, what we developers are getting is we are PaaS-free users from having to install our in-house hardware or software to develop or to run a new application. So why I need to go for a Heroku? So I would like to say it is easy to start and configure. So what does it mean? The main advantage for me or to my organization I observed is that it's extremely easy to start. You don't need to deal with infrastructure as it is based on cloud computing and PaaS. So it really just works. For startups, they don't want to spend time and money on getting up their configuration. It's a fantastic, a true time saver. Because in the webinar I observed there are a lot of developers who wants to learn about this Heroku. So if you go to Heroku.com, there is a beautiful documentation step by step how you can integrate your app which is written in different languages like Node.js or AngularJS or Java, and how we can deploy into cloud computing. So beautiful documentation is good. So another advantage what I observed is that there is scaling is straightforward. Just specify how many number of processing units. The processing units are called as dynos in Heroku. I'm going to discuss what is dynos in a few minutes. So you can need to specify the number of processing units or dynos that you need, and you're set. That's it. And one more advantage what I observed is that you are going to use the standard tools to build your application so that there is no lock for you. So when you design, you can migrate from one service to another service based on your requirement. So this is the reason which made me to think of Heroku. Moreover, you all people know that Salesforce has taken over Heroku also. Salesforce is eager to acquire these companies where you are going to find the advantage of Salesforce on Heroku. So I am hearing some of the people are still unmute. Can you mute yourself? Thank you for muting yourself. So this is how which made me to think of Heroku. So to sum up this, I'll say we had a specified documentation allowed in Heroku.com website. So go through the documentation and select your language, and then you start playing now with Heroku. So Heroku is the cheapest option for low traffic site. So you don't have to add your credit card for payment at early stage. So for 1 month you can play like anything, but please keep a tab on the number of dynos that you are going to use. One dyno is free. If you are going to use more dynos, then you need to pay extra for that. So database integration is very good, simple. So as I said, for every software or hardware, there are advantages. The main disadvantage of Heroku is that if dynos increase, you need to pay more. So while I'm playing with initially with Heroku, I increased my dynos from 1 to 5 dynos, that is to 5 processing units. Then they charge almost around $140 for me. So please don't play by having the more number of dynos. So you play with only with one dyno which is sufficient for you. So performance, it's a wrap juniors recently. You can switch away from being purely from Ruby on Rails or Java on PaaS. So it is a very good we have. So this is the main advantage of Heroku. So Heroku is going to take care of your app management and scaling. So you as a developer can focus on more important and instantly gratifying your things. So your apps are distributed, which in turn they are going to contain the slug and configuration and add-ons, which I'm going to discuss in a few minutes. So this is the main account. So you start with a free account, then pay for additional dynos if you want. So let us go for the next slide. I'm taking it as a case story. So the challenges faced. For example, already a company is there where they have their business process in Java. So they don't want to reduplicate the same work what they have done in Java into Salesforce. So now this business process which is in Java, what we suggest is, so you deploy your Java into a cloud app like Heroku, and then use a Postgres database as your database on Heroku, and then you connect Salesforce with Postgres by writing your own REST APIs, which we are going to show in few minutes, or you can have to take advantage of Heroku Connect, what we have going to show in a few minutes. So like this, the bidirectional data flow from Salesforce to Heroku and Heroku Salesforce is going to happen using the Heroku Connect. So this is the solution what we have given, and this is how the data flows from Salesforce to Heroku and Heroku to Salesforce. So you utilize your IPs or skills written in your Java language or Ruby on Rails or AngularJS, and then implement this language. For example, if you take in Salesforce, you can't process the PPT files. So for that purpose, you process using Java and then deploy that app into your Heroku, and then from there you take the binary data files and transfer it to Salesforce. This is how Heroku and Force.com can overcome the difficulties what we have in the Salesforce. So if you go through my slide, so this is the architecture what we have. So here I am going to use the application database is nothing but my Postgres. So the user has his customer data on the Salesforce. So using Heroku Connect, I am going to connect to the application database, and from the Heroku application database, the data can flow back to Salesforce using the Heroku Connect. So Heroku Connect is nothing but a data flow between a Salesforce and an application database. So Heroku Connect can help you in synchronizing service. It's a real-time bidirectional database. The syncing is going to happen within span of 10 seconds. The data can be synced from Heroku to, Heroku means I want to say Postgres to Salesforce. But when the data has to sync from Salesforce to back to Postgres, it takes almost around 10 minutes. So it's a point-and-click configuration. What we are going to show is very easy for everyone to learn, and it supports multi-org reporting. Can you mute it? So kind request for all the audience, you mute yourself because it is going to get disturbed others, and me too. So if you use Heroku Connect, you have in Force.com different organization like organization A, organization B, organization C. So in Postgres, Heroku Postgres also I have organization A, B, C like this, and then I am going to have a Heroku Connect here. So this Heroku Postgres will read the data from your app, which is written in Java or Ruby on Rails or AngularJS or Node.js, and writes back using database trigger back to Heroku Postgres. From there, the data flows with the help of Heroku Connect back to Force.com. So if you go to the Heroku terminology, so if you have here, you can see this, I have an app which is written in different languages like Java or AngularJS what I have. I have a business process here, and Heroku uses a dyno. So initially I have deployed my app into Git repo. So Heroku uses a dyno. Okay, so when developing an application, it is often necessary to have more than one version of application running at any condition. So what I'm going to do is, you all people will maintain the version control. So I'm going to, once I develop my app, so I want to have some version controls like Git, subversion, or etc. So this version control keeps track of many revisions of the code base, and then coordinate the modification, whatever the source code you are going to change, that we can have in the Git. So when developing an application, it is often necessary to have more than one version of application running at any time. So on Heroku, you can maintain multiple deployment environments like staging or QA, your UAT, production. So by creating a Heroku app for each and every environment, you can simply deploy the code-based revisions appropriate for each environment to corresponding app of the Heroku. So PaaS gives you, what is PaaS? The platform as a service gives you an environment where you just push your code and some basic configuration and get a running application. So now if you see in my diagram, you are going to see the dyno. So dyno is nothing but a processor, what we called in Heroku. So it is a lightweight Linux container. It runs on single user specified command. So a dyno can run any command available in its environment. So it may be a CDR stack, or it may be your app Slug. Slug is nothing but it's a pre-packaged copy of your application and its dependencies. So Heroku users, so if you go to the next diagram, if you see that Heroku, we have a dynos. So these dynos are of two dynos. One is of web dyno and another is of worker dyno. So web dynos are the dynos for processing a web type application. So this we are going to define in our proc file. I'm going to show you what is going to be proc file. So only web dynos can receive the HTTP traffic, your HTTP REST API traffic. So this HTTP traffic is going to be received only by web dyno from Heroku routers. So if you see the next in the first diagram, you see that stateless instance worker dyno. So worker dynos can be of any process. So they also declared in your proc file other than web. Worker dynos are used typically for your background jobs, other than queuing systems and timed jobs. So you can have multiple kind of worker dynos in your application. So for example, one of the urgent jobs and you have another job which is running from a long period of time. So now you can have the worker dynos and you can configure your worker dynos according to your requirement. So this is about the dynos, these dynos are nothing but the load balancer in the Heroku. So if you see in my diagram, the web dyno and the worker dyno are the load balancers, and these two communicate with your database. In my case, I'm using Postgres as my database. You can use Postgres or MongoDB, or you can use Big Data. So all the databases are supported by Heroku. So I'm going to use Postgres. So in the second diagram, you can see 1x. 1x means I'm going to use one dyno. If it is 5x, I'm going to use 5 dynos. So if you see there are two types of dynos which are running here. So one is running in a horizontal manner and another is running in a vertical manner. These horizontal dynos are nothing but web dynos. So when you are going to increase your number of dynos, the performance issue also comes into picture. But whereas, as we spoken, worker dyno deals with your RAM speed. So they deal with your batch jobs. They deal with your backend process. So when you are going to increase from 1 dyno to 2 dynos, the RAM speed is also increased from 512 MB to 1024 MB. So always vertical scaling is good on Heroku, but we suggest you maintain 1 dyno as much as possible. If you want to learn Heroku, please start with only 1 dyno. Okay, so now you see in the third diagram what I have. We send HTTP request from the web. Means already my app is developed in Java or AngularJS or Node.js languages, and I'm going to send HTTP request from that. So can you mute yourself, please? It's kind request. I'm disturbing here. So those use the routers, and from routers they communicate with the dynos. So logflex are nothing but where you are going to see your logs, and we have a lot of add-ons like you can have Postgres or MongoDB. The add-ons I'm going to show you now. So Heroku receives API calls from Heroku users, and then using Heroku API it communicates with these dynos. So this is the dyno architecture what I'm going to discuss till now. So proc files, I'm going to show you a proc file. It is nothing but which talks about your local data, local directory, about your web apps. And Slug is an application bundle where you have your source code and it fetches the dependencies. It talks about your language runtime and how it is compiled, how it is generated, how the output has been built on your system. So Slug is nothing a ready-made for execution. So I have a build packs also. So these build packs lie on the Slug compilation process. So these build packs will take your application, its dependencies and language runtime, and produce our slugs. So dynos already we have executed. So let us switch on to the next point. So if you see in my screen, I have created one contact interest analyzer app in my Salesforce. It includes your Visual Force page and Apex coding also. So I have used my Apex and Apex API REST calls for that. So using HTTP requests, I am going to communicate with the Heroku. So in the Heroku, as a processing, I'm using web dynos and worker dynos. And the web dynos and the worker dynos communicate with your big data stores. If you see these big data stores, the first one is a green color with leaf is called as a MongoDB, and then the elephant we have Postgres. Similarly, I have Hive, which is nothing but a big data. So database can be anything. So I can fetch my data back from database to Heroku, and then it flows back to Salesforce. So using Heroku and Salesforce, I'm going to develop my hybrid app for a bidirectional data flow. So let me take one live demo how I'm going to communicate from Salesforce to Heroku. So before going to my demo, as I requested, you should have a free account. I'm going to use Java. So Java should be installed, GRE and JDK, and I installed Maven 3 also. So I hope you might have installed your Heroku toolbed. Once you install toolbed, it will create a JIT folder in your program files. So I have copied this JIT bash.vbs file from the program files which has created. So let me open that using git bash. So this is how So let me log into Heroku. For that I am using Heroku login command. So you have to enter your credentials. Enter your password. So already I have created an app and I have cloned it into Git. So let me clone that ready-made app, what I have. So I'm going to clone my app which is present in Git. So it is cloning in a folder called as Java Getting Started. So let me go to check into that directory, Java Getting Started. You have beautiful documentation in Heroku. So all these steps what I'm implemented, so you can get from the documentation from Heroku.com also. So I went into my master, that is nothing but Java Getting Started folder. So this is how I have logged into my folder. So now let me create, already the app has been developed as I said in Java. So I'm going to create the same app on a cloud computing in the Heroku. So for that, let me create an app in Heroku. So I am using the command Heroku create. So if you see here, it has created an app called as Sleepy Forest 8745. So .herokuapp.com. So this is how, if you want to rename this app, you can rename this app using Heroku Apps rename on your command prompt. Let me go with this app name only. So now once you have created the app, you have to push this app into Heroku. So for that purpose, I am going to use the command git push Heroku master. So this is how I am going to push my app to Heroku. So my app has been pushed, so it is building the source. So it has detected the Java app because I have written my app in Java language. So it installed JDK 1.7 and it has utilized Maven. So using Maven, I'm going to create pom.xml file. In the pom.xml file, I'm going to have all the dependencies of my app. So similarly, it will create another file called as proc file. So in the proc file, I'm going to have the local directory of my app. So it is launching my app. So it has verified, deploy, and it has been done. So let me go to the folder of my Heroku. If you see, it has stated Java getting started. So in this, I have the pom.xml file. So this is the main file which has been generated. So let me open with edit Node+. So if you see in this pom.xml, it is talking about the dependencies. So all the dependencies, and if I am going to use any plugin, as I said, I am going to use Maven as my compiler plugin. So all the plugins or the dependencies which I am going to use for my Heroku execution can be found in the pom.xml. So similarly, as I said, the proc file. In the proc file, we'll be having the path of my Java app which I developed. So these two files are the main files. So now let me scale my app. So I'm going to, once the application has been deployed, we need to ensure that at least one instance of the app is running. Instance of app is running means you should have a process for running app. It is nothing but dynos in our case. So I'm going to allocate a dynos. So if you see, I'm going to use web dyno. So that's the reason I'm allocating scaling to web equal to 1. Means it will have one web dyno for me. If you give web is equal to 5, it will take 5 dynos. But please make a note that one dyno is free. More than that, it is going to be charged. So if you see here, scaling dynos done. Now running web at 1 column 1x. If you have 5 dynos, it will show as now running web at 1 column 1x. So let me go to my Heroku, refresh it. I don't have personal apps, but now I have created one personal app. So let me see whether I can open my, so this is Sleepy Forest 8745, which is created from our command prompt. So if you want to open this app, you can open from here also. So you click on this. Let us click on this so that we will see what is happening. So if you see, out of the total one dyno, I have one dyno. So estimated monthly cost is $0. This is what you are supposed to have. It has a dependency on Java, and the proc file has given the top proc file dependency, and it has $0 now. If you give $5, just see, you will be having billed around $148 or something like that. So please ensure you are up to the right point. So I'm going to open my application. Either I can click on here and open my application, or I can open from the command prompt. So let me go to command prompt instead of going on point and click. So I'm going to open my app, Heroku Open. So see here, it has opened my app which I have written in the Java language, hello from Java. So now take a situation, I have launched my app. So after a few days, my customer came to me and said to me that this is the logic additional what we want to implement. So I need to change my program. So let us go to our main Java program, source, main, and open that your Java program and see and make some changes here. I have hello from Java. So this is what it has been displayed, hello from Java. So let me make some changes to my app here. So I made these changes. So you all know, once we make changes, again, we need to add this to the Git repository as I'm cloning from Git. So I'm going to add this to my Git repository, and then I'm going to push again back this app to Heroku master. So I'm going to use the command git push Heroku master, so that I'm pushing back the changes what I have done back to Heroku master. So let me commit my changes. I forgot to do that. So let me commit my changes. So one file has been changed. So again push it to Heroku master. So like this, whenever you make change to your app, just you need to commit your changes and then you need to push that back to your Heroku. So for that purpose, you need to build your source again and then compile it and execute it, so that if you see, it is saying Java app detected, installing JDK and then executing Maven. So building Hello World, it is saying that. So like this, again it will build the entire process of the app which you have written earlier. So it is launching that. Now let me open my app again back using Heroku open command. So you see here in the initially I have hello from Java. So upon the request I have made changes to my app. So now you are going to see hello from Java, thanks Srini of Saxon. So this is how whenever you make a changes, you are going to make a changes to that. Okay. So now let us discuss on the add-ons. So Heroku has a beautiful add-ons for it. So I'm going to show you what is meant by Heroku add-ons here. Okay. So let me go to my Heroku app. So let me go to the Heroku add-ons, my Heroku here, and then you can open in the dashboard. You can see the dashboard, the databases, data clips, and we have add-ons. So Heroku this is the main important. You see the documentation. You please go to the documentation. You will have a beautiful documentation of Heroku. So let me click on the add-ons. So here we have a lot of add-ons. If you see, it have the data stores like it is going to support the Heroku Postgres, or it is going to support MongoDB. So similarly, data utilities are there. And as we discussed, the Heroku Connect, the Salesforce data synchronization service I have. So let me click on this. You can click on this from here. I will show you bidirectional from command prompt as well as from here also. You click on Heroku Connect, and then you can add on from here. Else you straight away go to your command prompt. You type the command Heroku add-ons add whatever the app you add-on you would like to have to be added. So you add that add. So in my case, I am going to connect with Salesforce. So I am going to click on Heroku add-ons, Heroku Connect. So it has added a Heroku add-on, open Heroku Connect to finish setup, or Heroku Docs, Heroku Connect to view the documentation. So this is how I'm going to add on Heroku add-on. So let me open it. So for this I use the command called as Heroku add-ons. I'm going to use Heroku add-ons, open Heroku Connect. So if you see this Sleepy Forest 8745 is previously what I added my Heroku app. So as I said, Heroku Connect is for use it as a middleware for flowing the data from Salesforce to Heroku. So I need to create a connection. So no connection exists. So I'm going to create a connection here. So it will have a Heroku app. For that Heroku app which I developed, I'm going to create a connection. So click on the next, and then schema name I have given as Salesforce. Click on next. So it is creating a new connection here. So it is asking us which you want to select, whether you want to select your production environment of the Salesforce or you want to select your sandbox of your Salesforce. So I'm going to authorize it. So enter your Salesforce credentials and click on login to Salesforce. So it is logging into my Salesforce. So now let us create mapping. So once we create mapping, click on create mapping. So it loads all the Salesforce objects that already you might have created. So select the object what you want to have a mapping. So I'm going to select account for a time being. So in that it will show all the account fields. So it is scoring for Salesforce for account fields. So I'm going to select account number and account name here. What are the fields you required, you can select it. And before this, please make a note that in this step, it is says that Salesforce to DB, that is Postgres database, sync data from Salesforce to Postgres every 10 minutes. But whereas when you are going to update in Postgres database to Salesforce, it is saying sync as never. Now you click on this because we want to sync data bidirectionally. So click on this now and then you click on this checkbox, write to Salesforce and update to Postgres database. So as we discussed, it is going to sync the data from Postgres database to Salesforce for every 10 seconds. Whereas from Salesforce to Postgres, it syncs the data for every 10 minutes. So you have to select this checkbox. If you won't select this checkbox, it is not going to sync data from your Postgres to Salesforce. Now you save it. Okay. So resync table. Now what you have done till then, you have made a connection from Postgres to Salesforce. But before that, you should add your Postgres Studio where you are going to see the data of the Postgres database to Heroku. So I'm going to add Heroku Studio also now. So for that same you use Heroku add-ons column add PG Studio, that is Postgres Studio, for looking what is the data present in the different tables of Postgres. So I'm going to add the PG Studio to my app Sleepy Forest 8745. So it has added. Now let us open that. So for that, what you are supposed to add, you are use the command Heroku add-ons colon open PG Studio. It is going to happen Postgres, open the Postgres Studio. So see here add-ons, SSO, Heroku.com apps here. So now if I have only one app, if you have multiple apps, if you click on this arrow, it will show all the apps present for which you need to add the Postgres Studio. You select the app. So in my case, I have only one app. So I'm going to log into Postgres Studio by clicking the login button. So your Postgres SQL has been, Studio is ready for you. As we are going to communicate with Salesforce, select Salesforce as my schema. Okay. So if you select your Salesforce, I have added previously account. So click on the account. In the account object of Salesforce, I have added name and account number fields. So these two fields came here along with the default fields of Salesforce. So this is how you can see your Salesforce object here. So let me type a command. I want to know how many number of data is there in account object. That is, I want to find the count of the data. So for that I am going to use the command called as select count star from Salesforce of these related to Salesforce. So I am going to use Salesforce dot account. So it will fetch the number of rows present here in the account object. So total I have 11 here. So let me log into my Salesforce, click on the account. So if you see here, one of the 11. So the total number of rows present in the Salesforce are 11, and in the Postgres also we got 11. So now let us insert a row from Postgres and see whether it will reflect in Salesforce or not. Insert into Salesforce.account. So I have the fields called as name and account number. And I'm going to have the values for that. Values. So let us give, name as Saxon Srini, and my number as account number as 49. So the command has been executed. So see whether the data has been inserted in Postgres or not. So for that, select star from Salesforce.account. This is a select command which I am going to fetch the rows of here. So here you can see Saxon Srini and 49 as my last column. So total I have 12 here. So let us go to the Salesforce and refresh it. So here also I have 12. Okay, so let me open here. So the data which is present in Postgres is directly going to flow into Salesforce. The syncing is going to happen for every 10 seconds what we discussed earlier. So Saxon Srini is my account name and account number is 49. So now let me go to my account and create a new account here. So I'm going to give name as Srini Saxon this time, and let me give account number this time as all ones, 4 ones, and then save it. So the total number of rows now it will be 13 in Salesforce, right? Because previously it is 12 and now we have added one more. So but the data to flow from Salesforce to Postgres, I showed to you previously, it will take almost 10 minutes. For every 10 minutes, it takes a set of records from Salesforce and then it syncs with the Postgres. So let me type here. So still here you can see only 12 records. So we can check, you can cross check, you do your experiment from your end and cross check whether the same applies what I say or not. So this is how we are going to have a bidirectional flow of data from Heroku Postgres database. It can be database, can be MongoDB or big data, whatever it is, to Salesforce. So I have done this using the add-ons. Now let me go into a situation. I'll go that I don't want to use add-ons. Some of the audience has written me that what happens to me if I don't want to use your add-ons, what you declared. So for that purpose, I have written my Java code. So let me copy this Java code into my main.java. And then I'm going to save the file. So here I have written, actually in this Java code, if you are going to say, so you have your HTTP servlet request, and then simple example I have taken. I'm going to take two integers, that is integer A, integer B, and then it is going to return the sum of the value of integer A plus B. So this is a simple example I have taken. If you want any complicated also, we are ready to take the complicated, and according to the client requirement, we can do it. So now again I made changes to my main program. So you need to add this back to Git. So use the command git add and then you commit the changes. Git commit -m demo. So one file has been changed. Now go to my Salesforce where I have written already my Apex code. So I'm going to my Salesforce. I have my Apex classes called as Heroku test. So I'm going to open my Apex class, click on edit. Copy this HTTP web address of your app and then go to your app and then you change it here in the HTTP endpoint. You are supposed to change the endpoint always when you are making your REST API calls. So I'm going to change my HTTP call here. And then in this code, if you see, I'm going to use a JSON as a generator. And then it has two values, string value and value2, and then it is going to add the sum using the Java app, and that sum is displayed in our Salesforce app. So this is how, and I am using add feature callout equal to true, that is for asynchronous calls. I am going to use feature method here. So this is how I made a change to my, just you change your endpoint URL. So I think you are all aware that we need to, whenever we are going to communicate with the third-party external system, we need to add that endpoint URL to your remote settings. So go to your remote site settings. And then you add a remote site settings as a new remote site setting. Copy your URL back here and then say webinar Srini. Give some name. I'm giving webinar Srini here. So remote site the API name can only contain so underscore. So we are not supposed to give. I'm sorry for that. So it should be a common word or it should contain an underscore. So I have created my webinar Srini remote site setting details. I have updated it. Now go to my So before that, once again for cross-checking, I am going to add my app. I think I have done this step, but anyhow for cross-checking, I am doing the same thing, and then I need to commit my changes. So git commit minus and then use demo. So nothing to commit because already I know that I have done that, but you are supposed to push back to Heroku master. Use this and then command git push Heroku master, push your app back to Heroku, that is your Java app back to Heroku master. So it is again the same process, building the source, it will detect your Java app and it will install your JDK and then it executes using your Maven. So this is how it is going to execute our changes. So this is all the execution process. Okay. So now let me go to my Salesforce. I have here invoice details. So I have created a custom object. I'm going to webinar edition as my name, and then I'm going to use, as I said, I'm going to just sum two numbers, and the output should receive is going to be calculated in my Java app, and then pushing that app to Heroku Cloud Computing. So I'm going to add two numbers. Let me give invoice 1 as 15, and then let me give invoice 2 as 20. So click on the save button. you see here total invoice. This total invoice is 35. This is the computation has been done in Java app, and from Heroku it has been pushed the total invoice value to our Salesforce. So similarly from Salesforce also we can write. So in this scenario I have written our own REST APIs and we have written our own Apex classes instead of depending on Heroku add-ons. So if anyone are interested after this webinar, please ping me. I think all of you had my email IDs. So that definitely I will help you in my code. So I think I'm done with my demo. So if you have any queries or any questions, let me see, because already some of the people has typed their questions. So if you have any questions, so you can ask from your end. So my team is handling me the questions. So meanwhile, if you want any questions, you just to type. So the question what they asked is that already I am shedding my amount on Salesforce. So do you want me to pay any additional amount on Heroku? Yes, there is the additional amount is based on the dynos that which you are going to use, and already I said the advantages. So based on those advantages, I think that Heroku is the main choice for your people. So one more question, the question what they asked is that is Postgres is only the database that which you are supposed to use. As I said earlier, Postgres is the database which I chosen. So if you want to go with MongoDB, you go with MongoDB, or if you are interested to go with other databases, you can go with other databases. So similarly, do I need to follow the version control as Git only? No, it is not Git. I have used Git as my version controller tool. So you can go with SVN or Git or Macula or any version control tool that which you have. So I'm going to open the audio line also. So before that, so I thank my team members, Jayant and Praveen, for helping me in successful in this demo. So is there any storage limited for dynos? So dynos are nowhere related with storage. Actually, storage is related for your databases. Dynos are processing units. So the storage limit depends on the database that which you are going to use. So this is another question. What some of the I didn't remember the user name. So if you have any questions, you can type on that, or already you have my email ID. Just you can write or share your email to me, so that definitely I'm going to take care of that. So whether your application is big or small, so I would like to say Heroku is the most convenient way to deploy and manage it. So instead of wasting your time on server management, meta setups with libraries, jugglings, and all those things, you can instantly get knee deep into code and start hacking away at your next big idea. So go to heroku.com for your good documentation. So step by step is explained based on the language that which you are going to use. So one more question what they asked is, what about the scalability? Scalability already I have discussed with you people. If you want to scale horizontally, you add more dynos. For example, if you please make a note that if you are going to add more dynos, it will allow you to handle more concurrent HTTP requests, and therefore the higher volumes of traffic is going to happen. So if you are going to scale vertically, that is when you are going to use bigger dynos, the maximum amount of RAM is available for you. Already I remember that in one of my slide I have shown 512 MB for one dyno vertically, 1024 MB for second dyno vertically. So for scalability, this is the question what they asked. So if you have any further questions, I open my audio line. We can finish off. Or probably this webinar documentation is, and the slides what we explain are going to share in SlideShare. We are going to have this webinar in YouTube, and please make a note. In a short time, I am going to have the second session, the advanced session, where I am going to talk more about the terminology of dynos